Thank you. My name is Macy Gaines. I am a local attorney. I also practice in California. My primary areas are probate and family. I have a wonderful husband named Robbie Gaines. He's also my law partner. We practice at Gaines and Gaines Law Firm, and we have two beautiful daughters. They are 1 and 3. They're about 18 months apart and definitely keeping us busy.
Wonderful. We got a late start. We had some technical difficulties, but we on and rolling now. Now, let's just jump into this. Macy, what is a divorce?
So divorce, put really simply, is just a formal and legal action to end your marriage.
Okay. And is there a period of time that you have to be married to get a divorce, or, what is annulment? They said you can't consummate it. What's the difference? We get married. Hey, baby, this ain't working. Look, I'm old. I want out of this. No. And after 3 months, we done had sex and everything. Okay. Should we get a divorce or an annulment? We gonna keep it 100 up in here, huh? What we gonna do?
You can get a divorce. There's no time period, no required time period to remain married. I mean, you could be married a day and want to file for divorce the next. It's not going to happen overnight, but you don't have a period that you have to meet in order to file for divorce.
Okay, wonderful. What is a legal separation?
So in Michigan, it's called a separate maintenance action. And actually, it's
the same thing, 6 1/2 a dozen.
Right.
Okay.
So
what's that mean?
In those situations, they're for couples who, one, are not completely set on divorce, but they do want to be separated. They want to likely live apart, live separate lives, and they legally remain married. So a lot of times these separate maintenance actions become divorces, but others, they remain married and legally and live, again, separate lives. A lot of times this happens with people who have like religious obligations. They are tied together. They're going to remain married for life, but they also don't want to be together. Like physically, they may have different relationships. A lot of times they also do that. People will do this to maintain health benefits, insurance, and things like that.
So basically they maintain everything, but they just get it. So why would someone get separate maintenance? Why not just move on and just say, look, you can have a house? I mean, people do that. Why is it a better course to do something like that?
I mean, I think that from what I've seen, in certain cases, it really was like a trial period before fully getting a divorce.
Okay, so people just want to see if we can work it out. Is there a waiting period in Michigan for a divorce?
There's a waiting period if you have children. So if you have minor children, so you can have kids who are over 18, there's no waiting period. But for minor children, it's 6 months.
Okay. So say, for instance, Macy, during that period of time, say I file and, we have children. Can my soon-to-be ex go out here and automatically just sell my property? Or would you as a lawyer put a clause in there to say, you know what, we're going to maintain a status quo? What's that mean?
So no, he technically can. He probably shouldn't. He should act accordingly during divorce proceedings. But if there's nothing to stop your spouse from doing that, he can do it.
But you can put a language in that to maintain the status, to prevent them, or no, they can just empty out your bank account?
Oh no, you absolutely need to get something called a status quo order and a mutual restraining order. The status quo order.
So say for instance, I'm married, okay? And at that point it's war. And I say, I serve you on Monday. Can you as a lawyer put something in there to prevent him from emptying out our joint bank account, taking out all his 401k, saying, man, I'm liquidating everything. Oh, that's how you want to do? Ain't nothing gonna be left in here. Or she could do that. Is there a way somehow that that you would be able to do that if I came to you as a lawyer?
Oh, absolutely. You can guarantee, you can get that order before you even serve him. So in our office, we always ensure that we get the status quo and mutual restraining orders at the same time as the summons and complaint. So we're going to serve you with divorce, but you're also going to have a mutual restraining order and a status quo order with that. So
which means that person can't go out here and liquidate.
Can't do anything.
So now here's the deal. I decide you know what, you say, for instance, you charge how much an hour? Just say, for instance, 300. Okay, 300. Right. Okay, so $3,000 retainer. Forget that. I'm gonna do it myself, girl. $188. $188 will get you the forms for the divorce. It will not speak to the status quo, and it will not speak to that restraining order, because that's not a lawyer. All you're doing is getting the form to get the divorce. So if you filed it Monday and all you do is file a divorce, they can clean you blind. But if you go to gains and gains, not only you're going to pay a little bit more, but all the money in your bank account won't be gone. All the money in your 401k won't be gone. Why? Because you filed an order preventing them. That's the difference, wouldn't you say, of a do-it-yourself divorce opposed to actually coming to a lawyer. Would that make sense?
Absolutely, because if that does happen, you're going to end up spending more trying to trace it and fix what happened. So it's very hard to go and track down assets if a client or if a husband or whatever spouse empties your accounts, mortgages the house, or does anything. So backtracking and cleaning up your mess will be more expensive.
Girl, guess who was watching on our thing? Pete Lucido.
Who?
Pete Lucido.
Hey.
Hey, Pete. Congratulations. Okay, I love him. My team, when I seen him up there, I'm like, he trying to watch me see I'm saying something wrong. Pete, leave me alone, okay? Congratulations, by the way. Anyway, so my thing is that this. So if I come to you, Attorney Gaines, and I say I want to file divorce, and I'm using me as a woman, please, this only example, and you have that restraining order or something like that. They can't dump out our account. Is that correct?
Correct. It technically.
Let me guess this. I filed. I'm gonna be smart. Listen, I'm gonna serve you at your girlfriend's house. Who is it? And they're gonna file when you get ready to leave at your girlfriend's house. Can he come after being served and change those locks and throw me out?
No, especially with those orders in place. But the filing a divorce doesn't automatically require you guys to live separately. It doesn't give one person priority over the home or any of the property, really.
Well, what if I decide I'm filing for divorce? I get this call all the time. I want to throw them out. Can I just throw them out? Or do I have to wait? Or you can't do it?
I mean, everyone, it's very common to want to throw them out. However, absent some domestic violence, there's issues. I mean, it'll be difficult. It would be pretty difficult to get them out. The court will require you to live together, but also they will, make it difficult unless, again, there's domestic violence issues. Obviously, you shouldn't live together. And if one still wants to, they should, be ordered to leave.
Now, Mace, that's right. Okay. How much, now you said with kids, can I immediately, listen, I found me a new guy. I don't want to take the kids by, it's February. By June, I'm going to move with him to Atlanta. We're going to start a new life. Can you do that in Michigan?
No. There is a 6-month waiting period. When they're their children. The policy behind it is really to hopefully encourage reconciliation. They call it the cooling off period. And I've had cases where we filed and they reconciled and, they had minor children. I assume things went well. But if not, then after the 6 months, you can move forward.
Okay, very good. And Rochelle Lester, thank you so much. We're trying to do it. She said, thank you, counselors. You guys are doing a great job. As did Mr. Hall. Now, let me ask this. Normally, how much is a divorce with children? And how much is one without, if I don't have any kids or they're grown?
So, that's a really broad question.
I mean, a general amount.
General amount is probably, I would say comfortably 3 to 5. Well, with children, probably 5,000, 5 to 7,000.
Why is it so much?
There are a lot of, so it depends on how well the parties get along. If you don't get along, it can run your bill up to 50,000. But if you can enter a divorce with an open mind, do what's best for the kids, you'll really limit your damage. But why is 5,000 so much? There's several steps with children. You have to file your case. You have to go to court. There's several hearings that are required for court, settlement conferences, case management conferences.
So basically,
kids, if you guys can't get along on the custody or parenting time, it's going to be a battle. And so you really want it's the children and child support, really.
Okay, very good. So it's not like criminal. You don't get a court appointed. Is that correct?
No, you don't. You don't.
So if I divorce I don't have no money. The court won't give me a lawyer?
No.
Okay. And the reason why, and I'll explain to people that are watching, is that the Sixth Amendment guarantees, and there's a right to counsel that we have. So by law, if you're accused of a crime and you're going to be deprived of your liberty by the state, then the government has a responsibility to give you an attorney. Here, this is a civil matter. There is no right to have a court-appointed attorney in this particular matter. Basically, it boils down to this. It's an hourly rate, and you really get what you pay for. Okay. Yep. And this is a situation. If you want someone who is experienced, who knows this area of law, you're going to pay a little bit more. Listen, let me tell you something. It's the difference between getting a Coach bag and getting a Gucci bag. Both of them the same purse. One is the way it's put together, but they both same purses. But when it comes to your children, when it comes to you already done been played 9 times out of 10, they done cheated on you. Why are you going to cheat yourself? And then go and get a lawyer that is not going to know anything about you, going to forget the kid's name, going to give you a flat rate or try to get you a flat rate. And then you turn around and you put off worse than that. In 1980, I paid $500 for my divorce. Wow, one is enough for me. I'm with you, Sandra Reese. Well, let me tell you something. I paid $50,000 and all we had was a damn house. We was fighting to be fighting. Let me tell you something. I was in family court, okay? Let me tell you how bad they get. This man had 3 jobs. He worked at a KFC, he was a mechanic, and he did some other stuff to pay his lawyer. His wife wanted him to buy a hearing aid. He refused because he said it wasn't part of his child support. It can get that nasty. It gets that ugly. And what it is, unfortunately, for me, what I saw, men can outspend women. And so they'll get 3 and 4 jobs because at that point, we're at war. There's no cost at war. I want to win by any means necessary. You have filed this matter. Now I'm going to make you pay. Is that the sentiment that you see with your clients?
I do all the time. And, there's some who understand, their financial limitations, and they'll understand, that it is wise to go in with an open mind. It is very wise to do so. But if people want to fight for the sake of fighting, they do have to understand that it will end up being one of those $50,000.
I mean, I looked up, I'm like, what in the world? Okay. And then the funny thing about it wasn't funny at the time. All what happened to me later when I decided to represent myself, but I don't want to jump ahead of myself. If we have joint property, cell phone accounts, gym memberships, can my ex, once he files, says I'm not paying that legally? Can he just say, you want a divorce? You on your own? Can he legally do that? Or she?
He shouldn't. He shouldn't do that. But again, like we were talking about earlier, if you get the status quo order, mutual restraining order in place, it requires him to continue paying these things while the divorce is pending, because you're in a state of transition, but your bills and your housing and everything else shouldn't be sacrificed while that's happening.
And so as a lawyer, unlike do it yourself, because do it yourself ain't going to court. So unlike that, if we were required to maintain the status quo, and he decided, I'm not paying no mortgage, I'm not paying no cell phone bill, I'm not paying no lights or gas. You could then take him to court and have what's called in contempt, because that person is refusing to go by the court's order. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. And you've done that before, is that correct?
Oh, yes. And he would pay for that. I mean, he paid our fees for doing so.
Oh, and so wait a minute, let's back up.
Oh, yes, we love those. We love
well, my ex says, I'm not paying anything. And the judge has already entered a separate maintenance. And he says, I'm not paying anything. You're saying that you can take him to court and make him pay?
Yeah, because I mean, he's intentionally violating an order of the court. We're incurring fees to enforce it because of his wrongful actions. So there's law that dictates that because he willfully disobeys an order, he will have to pay our fees for that, because our client really shouldn't have to suffer because of that.
Let me ask this question. You can ask what you want, but do judges grant that if they act in that way?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because of the nature of status quo orders. Like, again, you're in a state of transition, and in the interim, you really shouldn't have like your bills and your stability and what you're accustomed to sacrificed while you're waiting for an outcome.
Okay. Macy, I got a question for you. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I stayed home all my life. My husband has a good job. I can only get you the retainer. But my husband has a lot of money in his 401k. Would those be cases that you could say, well, we could take them on and then satisfy the legal funds later? Or how can that happen for my viewers who are stay-at-home moms and who dedicated their life to taking care of their husband and their children, and now he decides, hey, I don't want to be married anymore? Is it or am I just out on a limb?
So first of all, the stay-at-home mom is probably harder than, I mean, it's a full-time job. It's probably harder than what the husband does at work. It's harder personally than being a lawyer. So
I'm with you, girl.
That is valued in the court. That is valued in the family division. And you are.
Wait a minute. I don't work. How they got a value?
Because you took care of the home. You allowed husband to go to work. You allowed husband to make this money, and you took care of the kids. So that is credited. And also, if she doesn't have access to money, if she doesn't have it on hand, which a lot of times housewives don't, or house husbands, but you know, we can take a retainer and immediately request interim fees for that. If there's a disparity in income, which there is because she has zero, we ask for fees while the case is pending, and we, you know, at the end ask for additional fees to ensure if there's any disparity in income in a divorce, there's no reason why the person who has less should not have an attorney. So the court, likely, I mean, I really haven't had issues with it. If there's a disparity in income, they contribute to the other party's fees. You're
so
still
the main thing is getting the retainer, getting to you. And then even if the divorce costs $30,000, he may be on the hook to have to do that because she doesn't make any money. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I mean, it's the marital estate, marital funds. He should share. He can't just get a lawyer and you go stand there alone.
We've been using this word, their retainer. What is a retainer?
So retainer is just really an advance on legal fees. Generally, you know, in our office, and it's customary in other lawyers' offices, where you pay for a certain amount of hours up front. Once we take your case on, we hit the ground running and your time is used. But it really is just a certain amount of hours paid for up front. And once that is exhausted, then you'll pay like a monthly bill. Hopefully
Okay,
it's
very good.
a lot of times it's to get us started.
So you have a payment plan. Is that my understanding? After the retainer.
After the retainer, yes.
I know. They have to pay the retainer, then after that. Okay, and then they can have that kind of service. Is that correct?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so if a divorce costs $25,000, I don't have to bring $25,000.
You likely won't. I mean, you won't, but you will have a monthly bill. And as the case goes on, you'll see what you're paying for, one, and also the bills.
Now, should I communicate by email or text or phone with my ex after I file?
I mean, hopefully all of them. If there's certain things that are important, if you feel that the communication is lacking or there's a obvious, possible lack of trust, then putting things in writing is always helpful.
Okay. All right. Well, let me say this to you, ladies. Please do not. I'm going to have to take, don't be what Macy's saying if you're going to do it right. But when you say, I'm going to take you to the bank and I'm going to clean you out and I'm going to make you pay for cheating on me, that's not smart, okay? It's called drunk texting, okay? How do I know? Because I've done it before. I'm like, who that? Well, let me show you what Judge Evan does at night. She get drunk and she will text, oh, your baby mama, you and that woman. Ladies, have your cell phone. If you think you're going to use it as a weapon, how do I know? Because I did it and I did not. I'm like, he screenshot. What? Okay. What I'm saying to you, if you're going to be just ask for a general request, that's fine. But all of that, watch what's going to happen. I'm going to get you back.
No. Yeah, do not text. I mean, the family court has really become, a lot of cases have stacks and stacks and stacks of screenshots. And, it's unproductive. It's not helpful and it costs. So slow down on the texting.
Got a question.
Problems.
Can a text message I send be used against me in court?
Yes.
Okay. How? Say if exactly. It could say if we have children, could they say that I'm not fit because I'm using vulgar language or I'm making threats, or it could be used against me in some kind of way? Is that correct?
Absolutely.
How long normally does a divorce take? With children and without children, would you guesstimate?
With children, I'd probably say 6 to 9 months. If you're fighting and you want to go to trial, 9 to 12. Hopefully you don't hit that 1 year mark. But yeah, that's probably good. Without children, I would say maybe 3 to 6 months, probably.
Okay.
On the level.
What is joint property?
Joint property is anything that is accumulated during the marriage. So, you get married, you guys are working, you guys are buying homes, cars, those are joint property.
Okay. Now, if I own property before the marriage, say I bought a house in 2000 and I married in 2001 and divorced in 2021, can my ex get the value of the property even though it was in my name before we married?
Is it the property? Is it your property? Did you keep it separate?
No, say for instance, I bought a house.
Did you guys move into that home?
Yes.
Okay.
It was in my name. No, it was in my name. I bought it because I knew if he tried to do some slick stuff, I'm going to put him out. But he lived there for 20 years.
Yeah, no, that's not allowed. So at that point, you're co-mingling your property. So it will become marital. At some point, it's titled differently and it transforms into marital property if you're co-mingling it.
And what you mean by co-mingling it, if you living in that house, if you're paying light bill, gas bill, cutting the grass, putting in carpet, anything,
Yeah.
that is considered a value that you are putting toward that asset. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. That becomes the marital home.
And so at that point, it may then change, even though it's titled initially in my name. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, very good. Now let me ask this. What if my spouse, and I can prove this, he did nothing, but he helped me mentally, like he was there for me, you know, but I paid all the bills and everything. I paid for the grass and get cut. I paid, but yeah, you know, sometimes he would support me when I had a long day and stuff. If we're married for 20 years, can he still claim that that's joint property, even if I show that he didn't pay for anything, but that he supported me mentally?
There's an argument there. Absolutely. In order to keep the true separate property nature, you have to keep it completely separate. So let's say you have the home you move into, but you have another little rental property. If you keep that completely separate, you never touch it, you never go there, you never spend marital money on it, then that is your separate property. And it's pretty common in a lot of divorces where husband or wife has a cabin up north. They never visit it, but husband has, you know, people pay him to use it in the winter or use it in the summer. That is very separate. That stays separate. That's his. It's hard to touch that if wife's never even visited it. So the minute you start using it together, giving the other spouse access to it without, you know, any access to it, it starts to transform, and it can be, and it will be likely joint property.
What if I'm married? Okay, all right, and I have a law practice. I have a business. Okay, in my business, he ain't a lawyer, and we are married, say 20 years. All he does, you know, is do his little thing. Can he say, is there an argument? Well, honey, I wasn't a lawyer, but I should have a value of your practice because I loved and supported and helped you during that time. If you have a business, even though you're the one that's not in there doing the business. How do you explain that?
So I would say that law firms are different, but hypothetically as just a business, absolutely. We would get a business valuation.
But what if this woman, or say for instance, what if I never step foot in there? I don't do anything. You do everything. Say for instance, a restaurant. I don't do anything. Do I still get the value of it because it was something that was established, even though I don't contribute? Can I still get some of that money?
I would move forward on that. Yeah, because you made it possible for them to be there. You know, again, the marriage is not just let's go to work or we go to work. It's also holding the house down, supporting each other, allowing them to do that. It's similar to like the situations where one spouse goes to school, then goes to med school while the other spouse is taking care of them, supporting them. There's value in that degree that, you know, the non-educated spouse allowed you to get and helped you get.
Okay, what is a 401k or a pension?
It's just retirement assets that, you know, many employers provide. Really, sometimes you can have access to them presently, or they're just future assets that, again, you know, you'll touch when you're retired.
Can my ex get some of my 401k or pension if they didn't work for it?
Yeah. So again, the retirement is pretty clear. And that's one of the things that there's not a lot of argument on, I think, in divorces, because the spouse is entitled to 50% of the marital portion. So anything accumulated from the date of marriage to the date of separation or the date of the divorce is marital property. Now, we can get into a bunch of other things that we won't get into, but you know, it starts at 50-50. Depending on what happened, what issues you had, you can offset it. But the law, you know, is clear that you share 50% of anything accumulated during the marriage.
Now, let me say this. Have you ever done what we call a quadro? What is a quadro?
So quadro is a qualified domestic relations order. It really is just a document that is able to identify what the values were at the time of the marriage to the time of divorce. So if I got married last year, divorced this year, then they'll determine, what that is from January 1st, 2020 to January 1st, 2021.
And it's something very sophisticated. Is that correct?
It is. It is. Lawyers don't normally do those, so you have to pay. I mean, you're always referred to a company. There are some lawyers who do them, but I would never. I wouldn't even know where to start. You pay the $500 to a company to really calculate it and figure it out from there.
Now let me tell you what happened. Listen. So I'm like, done. I'm lawyered up. No, I'm not gonna pay another bill for a phone call, for email. I'm not doing that. So I decide I'm gonna do it myself.
Oh.
So and there's a point in the law that he or she who represents themselves has a fool for a lawyer.
Yes. So you did your quadro. You did your quadro.
So I see something that says it was $23,000. Just say it was, if it's 50,000, half was 23. I said, it was 4 words. The judge ordered division at the time of divorce.
Okay.
The lawyer changed it, division at the time she leaves employment.
Whoa.
I didn't catch that.
No. That's horrible.
Whoa.
Because that was after the divorce.
Let me tell you what ends up happening. It went from 23,000 to 100,000. Why? I didn't catch it.
I don't know about that, because that's post-divorce.
But what I assigned it. But I signed it. My point being to you is this. Madam Chair, that lawyer is now disbarred. But guess what? He left carnage all over. My point being to you, as a litigant, as not a litigant, but as a professional, if you saw that red flags would have went off everywhere. Is that correct?
Everywhere. It sounds bad right now. It sounds horrible right now.
And a person who is doing it yourself, you don't know. Let me ask this. Is it common for one side to have a lawyer and the other not to have a lawyer?
It's very common. It is common.
And normally the one that doesn't have the lawyer, after it's signed and the judgment is done, can't do anything about it. Am I right about it?
Right. Very right.
That's why we're going to tighten this up. What's a prenup?
A prenup is a contractual agreement pre-marriage to determine and decide, what assets you're absolutely going to keep separate once the marriage, starts, or once you're married.
Do you have to be rich to have a prenup?
Not at all. Not at all.
What? You mean regular working people have them?
Absolutely. Definitely.
Have you ever done one?
Yeah, I've done a lot of them. For very rich people and very average people. And it helps. A lot of times it's good when you have children from another marriage. I also do probate law. So I've seen many times where there's a second marriage and, one spouse passes away and that new spouse gets everything. So a lot of times I think it's very prudent to think about a prenup to keep certain items separate that your children from another marriage could keep, or they can go really wherever you want.
Okay. Tammy Lovelady, I love her. She's on my positive affirmation. It's a probate question. Listen, you got to call her office and we'll provide that in the notes about that probate. Because girl, that's so long. I can't even read that long, but the probate question, and you do probate, is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. I only practice probate and family.
Okay, that's it. Okay, so let me ask a question. Is it fair having a prenup going in marriage? Does that mean I don't trust my new husband or new wife because I asked him to sign a prenup? Does it mean like I'm doing something behind their back?
No, it just means that, moving forward, you want to share everything and you want to build together. But if there's something that you acquired on your own, that's fair game.
Okay. Can one attorney represent both the husband and me if I were marrying a man in a prenup?
No. I always advise the other party to get an attorney or get somebody to look at the prenup before signing and executing it.
One of the things we're hearing with Dr. Dre, he had his lawyer to sign the prenup, and there was only one lawyer that was there. Although his soon-to-be ex-wife is a lawyer, that is a problem. Wouldn't you agree at some point?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask this. What does it mean that in Michigan is a no-fault state for divorce?
It just means that there's no legal requirement of fault to get a divorce. You can really get a divorce just because there's a breakdown. You don't need a specific basis to qualify and fulfill in order to start a divorce.
Okay, but if my ex cheated on me and bought items for another person and they're romantically involved, is that admissible in court?
If they bought things during the marriage with the marital.
Yeah, if my ex was out spending
Yes.
baby mama, I'm saying maybe not a baby mama, but that's all. I'm bringing that up to say he is dissipated our family money.
Yes, absolutely.
So when you say fault, that don't have anything to do. That is admissible.
Yes, that's coming in. It's just saying that you can really file for divorce and the court doesn't care why you're doing it.
There was some time ago a young woman who dated the owner of the Lakers, and he lavished her with many beautiful, beautiful, beautiful gifts. That wife went back and got every single thing, even the $5.11 that she gave to 7-Eleven, okay, because she dissipated a marital asset. Now, can I bug my ex's phone to get proof of cheating?
I mean, you can really do what you want, whether it's admissible or not. That's a.
Well, let me say this to you. Right now, there's a case in the Michigan Supreme Court that basically says that one party's consent is insufficient, that Michigan is a two-party state. Be very careful with this. I had a case where the woman suspected her ex of being abusive to the children, and she put a listening device in their clothes and she got charged. Now, I'm saying to you ladies, this is serious. And the fact of the matter is, and it was terrible, because what ended up happening, her ex-husband, filed a police report on her. And then the divorce attorney had to represent her in that proceeding. And basically speaking, they could not put this listening device on their kid. And then it went to her ability to be fair in the raising the kids. So it really backfired. Let me ask this. Is it okay for me to read my ex's emails and go through his phone on text messages and screenshot them? Can you do that?
I mean, it's fair game. If you have the passwords, you have the if you have passwords, you have access to it. Some people share their passwords.
Yeah, but if you hack somebody, email your ex,
that's a problem.
You're going to jail,
and it's a problem, and you're not going to court. But if you're sharing, then
and you got to be, you know what I'm saying? I'm just giving you that a little bit. Should I hire a private investigator?
It depends on the situation. We have an investigator that we use on certain cases. We have an investigator we've used for cases with infidelity. We, definitely got photos and video, and it really helps.
Video
in settlement. So for settlement purposes,
how you get a video of them being together?
a PI. I mean, a private investigator will get things, but it just depends. I mean, no, this is a different situation. There's things in a car, you know, so we're
okay.
out. No, they're not like
they got excited.
No, like
they couldn't get to the hotel room. Oh, baby, I gotta have it right now. Let's stop.
But that kind of thing does help. Private investigators really do help with settlement. So we went to mediation, we went to settle, and we said, hey, you know, here's an envelope of photos and a flash drive with some videos from our private investigator. You know, do we want to go to court, which is public record? And, you know, not to threaten, but honestly, it really does and can facilitate settlement, because the other spouse was like, absolutely not. I'm sorry. Let's work this out. We don't need to go to trial. And I think that it really does allow a case to come full circle, but not every case needs a private investigator. No.
And let me say this to you, be careful about how far you're willing to go. I remember once before, and having lived through a divorce, and someone once said the divorce is like death without the corpse. You see that person every day, and it keeps hurting you. You see them with somebody else. You and my man, you going on. It is very hurtful. This person ordered the phone records of his wife and signed and forged the name of a lawyer and ended up getting charged. You got to be very careful, because it is a battle at that point. Can I get child support before we divorce? Absolutely. What is an established custodial environment mean? What's that mean?
So the established custodial environment is, you know, what the child, whichever parent or both, the child looks at for like affection, discipline, guidance. It's really a relationship. It sets the stage for custody.
Okay.
So you want to who the custodial environment is with.
Okay. Can I refuse to allow my ex to visit our kids because he got a new love interest? Oh no, you can't. You got a girlfriend? No. Can you do that?
No, you should never do that. You really shouldn't. I mean, it makes things hard. It makes things difficult. And again, it makes them expensive if it gets to that point.
Should I question my children when they return from a visit to see what my ex and his new girlfriend are doing?
No. And I just also want to branch off and kind of supplement what I just said. If there's concerns about the new girlfriend or something, yeah, but you shouldn't ever question the kids about the new girlfriend or what they're doing. No, you should not. But you can withhold the children if there is a reason for doing so. But if you don't have a reason,
a lawyer,
trouble.
we're kind of ending it up. If my children, they don't want to go with their dad, just say for instance, or mom, do I have to make them go if there's a court order?
You should, and you should encourage it, because it will, again, impact you at the end of the divorce. The court's looking at a lot of different factors. It's called the best interest factors. And one of the biggest ones is the facilitation of the relationship between the children and the other parent. They want to see that a parent is willing to put their differences to the side and encourage that bond with the children and the other parent.
Okay, very good. Okay. Will my ex have to pay for private school, tutoring, braces for our children? Can I run his pockets, or is that something left to the court?
That's something left to the court. And if private school is something customary and normal, you're going to want to ensure that gets into your judgment, because it's not required. If one spouse picks a good private school, there's nothing that requires the other party to pay it. So you want to incorporate that in your judgment of divorce.
Well, listen, I want to thank you so very much for taking your time out. I know you have 2 children and a husband, and you're not trying to get divorced. So I need to get you back to your career. So let me ask this question. Unfortunately, what would you say 50% of the marriages do end up somehow in divorce?
Yeah.
If I want to contact you, how would I be able to contact you? if I wanted to potentially retain your services because I thought that you're a good lawyer, which you are, how would I contact you?
You can call our office, 248-733-3378. You can go on the website, gainslawyers.com. We have a pretty quick response rate. We will, make sure that we speak to you, if we can't that day, within 24 hours.
You listen, you know what? All too often, I probably get calls, as many as I get for criminal, I get for divorce. And let me just say that I've known Macy a long time. And I feel like she and Robbie, I'm their auntie, I've always, but when I tell you, Macy and her husband, Robbie, who is also an attorney and does business law, they are fighters. And do not let that smooth taste fool you. She is beautiful, but she will fight in a minute. Okay, let me explain this to you. And I had to share a story. And it really made me realize how strong this woman really was. There was a woman who had come to me and she was on the fence about getting a divorce. And she ultimately, her husband had filed. And she said, okay, I'm going to respond. The husband said that the house is in foreclosure. Lie. He did so much that the woman ultimately had a stroke. Yeah. He then wanted to stop the marriage. Macy was able to pull some case law from I don't know where up all night, was able to present it to the judge. The judge then said no. If that were on a Monday and on that Wednesday, the woman died, had she not gone to Macy, everything would have gone to the wrongdoer, which was her ex, and her children would not have gotten anything. When we look at when you are choosing somebody for a divorce, for probate, and we're going to do one on probate too in our upcoming weeks, but she does probate, but we want to be able to give you some information, but here's the situation. When you have assets like your 401k, like your retirement, like your children, like your marital home, you've already sacrificed enough. Don't continue to lay down. It's not enough just to divorce, but you have to be able to protect yourself legally. And by reaching out to Attorney Gaines, you're able to do that. You're able to have somebody that is competent, that is more than qualified, that is highly regarded in the area of divorce to represent you. And the one thing that's so awesome to me is that despite her having a very lucrative firm that does divorce, she was able to say, well, Auntie, you just started out. I'll be able to reduce my rates so that the people who mention you will be able to get a good rate. Hey, nephew, Mr. Hudson, and get a good rate. One of the things that is very sad, and I used to say that civil was criminal, was to see women, especially women, who did not have oh, thank you. Exactly. He was a narcissist. Thanks so much.
He was waiting for her to die.
To have somebody to represent them for a reasonable price that is going to make you be able to be full financially so that you can go on to the next chapter of your life. And Attorney Gaines was able to do that. And, I can't say enough. I would be on all night, but I need you to get back to your family. But I do want to say this is the first part of our series. We had a little technical difficulty, but we were able to fix it up. It looks so beautiful. I love you too, son. But as I want to leave, Macy, what would you like to say, briefly to viewers who are contemplating divorce, who are in divorce and they're just not satisfied that the representation that they have is not as aggressive as they would like it to be. What would you suggest?
I would always, I mean, if you are not satisfied with your attorney one, then definitely go look for a different one. I mean, there's not a problem. This is very serious. Like, your divorce will set the tone for your next chapter. If you are not happy, definitely go get consultations with other attorneys. Find one that fits you. And I'm not saying, oh, come to our office, come to Gaines Law Firm. I'm saying find one that will work for you and fits with you, because you will be impacted by the outcome of your divorce.
Look at me. I got it for real. Okay. Okay. I don't even want to talk about, girl. Listen, let it make my blood pressure go up. Okay. All right.
What did you get out of the divorce?
Listen, huh? A 2 years and a pocket full of bills. Okay. But let me say this to you. It's that important. And and you have to have proper representation. Let me say this to you. You're going to pay now or you'll pay later. And it's better to pay up front. So look, I want to say thank you. Enjoy your evening with your family. Tell Robbie and the girls, give them a kiss. And listen, if you have any concerns, a divorce, please make sure that you contact Gaines and Gaines. And if you know someone who is contemplating a divorce, or you like the forum tonight, please share off my page. And again, thank you so much, Attorney Gaines, for being a part of it.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.